What I'm going to say will be brief, but it will be an introduction of the story of the Igbo people who, as Walter said, are connected to the ancient Israelites.
Wait, what?
My presentation is about how the Hebrews and the Israelites, who are the Igbo or Igbo people, as they are more commonly called today, who retain the oldest national identity of the Hebrews, Israelites, and Jews, arguing that they disappeared from these discourses about the aforementioned, which are in the domain of Jewish studies, largely because the history of the aforementioned became a subset of what I may call Western history. This led to subordination of the Hebrew or Israelite identities to the Jewish identity, which in turn became removed from its mother identities and became part of the white identity. Igbo or Igbo, which are interchangeable, and Hebrew mean the same thing in different languages. Hebrew is the English language translation of Igbo, just as Ibri is the modern Hebrew term or translation for Igbo or Igbo. They are one of the largest nations in this continent, land area called Africa. During the transatlantic slave trade, they became its greatest victims. Millions of people we see today as African Americans, Caribbeans, Afro-Latinos, Afro-Canadians, and Afro-Europeans were Igbos 400 years ago. The great British abolitionist Olaudah Equiano, who used his writings to correct the European impression that Africans lived on trees before Chinua Achebe did much the same thing, was Igbo. Presently, Igbos are dispersed to all corners of the globe. After the catastrophes which took place between 1966 to 1970 and which led to another Igbo genocide, millions of them began to flee from home. Many of them are in the United States, where on a nation-by-nation basis, they have more people with doctorates than any other ethnicity in the US. If you spot a person that might be of African background, as a shop owner in Shanghai, China, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, Tokyo, Japan, Tel Aviv, Israel, Dallas, Texas, USA, you are likely looking at an Igbo person. Conquered by Britain, when this modern-day Rome combined with Assyria was raiding nations around the world, they were among the over 290 different nations it seized and converted into its colonial outpost it named Nigeria. Many works which demonstrate that the Igbo are linearly the Hebrews and Israelites of the Bible exist presently. They are the only non-white African group that were mentioned in records about circumcision of males on the 8th day over 200 years ago. This is significant because I think that only the Jews of Sephardic, Ashkenazi, Mizrahi, and the Ethiopian backgrounds would have similar distinctions. Because most people, both at this conference and outside it, are not familiar with what I'm saying, which can be verified very easily, and also because some powerful people in controlling religion, academia, and the media do not want what I am saying to become part of history due to their baseless fear that their power will be threatened. Igbo DNA matches with DNA of ethnic groups who are contemporary Middle Easterners. What this genetic evidence says is that in the dim past, Igbos lived and shared blood with populations in the Levant, Middle East, which is believed with solid evidence to be where Hebrew and Israelite culture first separated from human culture. Lastly, I'm sure you already know that a Sephardic Jewish Bedin, rabbinical court, gave a ruling that Igbos are linear descendants of the Israelites after it had critically surveyed Igbo culture and history. The following rabbis, Diane Yehonatan Elazar Mota, PhD, Diane Jacob de Oliveira, Diane Eliezer Tabor, Rabbi Hananiah Cohen, and Rabbi Haim Ovadiah, sat on this course. And on this note, I say thank you to the conveners and to Professor Isaac, who introduced me to you, and I yield.